So we had a recent question, which was, why is the 401k inferior to whole life or cash value life insurance? And to answer that question, I would not say that one vehicle is inferior to another, or one's the best, you should put all your money in one area versus another. Every asset class out there, investment vehicles, they all have pros and cons. What I want to know as a consumer is when I look at each vehicle, what are the pros and cons, and how will it benefit what I'm trying to accomplish? Whether that's long-term growth, retirement income, or I want to use the money for my business, real estate, whatever it might be. So what we'll do here are go through some bullet points to 401ks and cash value life insurance. So firstly, with a 401k, when it comes to the contributions, they are made with pre-tax dollars. What that means is when I make a contribution to a 401k, I can deduct it from my ordinary income. So for example, if I am earning $100,000 and I contribute $10,000 this year into my 401k, what that means is my income was 100, I deducted 10,000, so I only have to report $90,000 as taxable income. So it reduces my taxable hit on the year I make contributions to a 401k. That's an advantage, especially if I'm in a higher tax bracket. The growth is tax deferred, meaning as the account grows, I do not have to pay taxes on it. A 401k is a great way to accumulate wealth. We'll see that in many cases. How the funds grow is I have investment choices here, and I've got really all the options in the world. I can have them tied, my funds tied to a fixed asset class directly in the market. Maybe it's an index fund, bonds, whatever it might be. I've got a lot of potential on earnings. Now, a couple drawbacks here. Accessing the money can be challenging. It can be more difficult than most accounts in the sense that when money's in a 401k, the standard rules are if I touch it before age 59 and a half, I have to deal with a 10% penalty tax. Now there are ways I can take loans from the account. I have to pay it back depending on the institution, usually in 5 to 10 years. There's something called a 72T, which lets me get some money out. It's very small. Again, depends if the institution that holds the 401k allows me to do that or not. But for the most part, it is difficult to access the funds in a 401k. Overall, this is a great place to put money, have it grow tax deferred, and use it on the back end. When I say back end, for retirement. Now when I take income from the account, let's just touch on this. Access is limited. Not the best vehicle to use for my business, for real estate and other areas. But when I want to take income down the road, meaning I want to distribute money from the 401k, and we're going to assume we're older than 59 and a half here. Remember, when I make contributions, I deduct those contributions and it grows tax deferred. So when I actually pull funds from a 401k, it is 100% taxable as ordinary income. Now, something we hear on 401ks quite a bit when one is presented or encouraged to save in a 401k is, hey, save your money in a 401k now, because when you retire, you'll have less expenses, your debt will be paid off, and you won't need as much income. That's what a lot of people are taught. What we've seen in reality is that that is not always the case. What happens is when I'm working, what do I have? Deductions in most cases. Maybe I own a home, maybe I own a business, I have a lot of write-offs, maybe I have kids. These are deductions. When I retire, often the home is paid off, Kids aren't kids anymore, they're grown up. Deductions are gone. Inflation occurs that forces me to need to take more money to live on. What we've seen is if I had all of my money in a 401k, that was my primary retirement. Well, I need money to live on. Inflation is going to force me to take more funds out. We don't know what's going to happen with tax brackets. My main point is we've seen a lot of people remain in the same tax bracket and sometimes bump up in retirement because they don't have those same deductions to offset everything. 401k overall, great way to accumulate or grow funds, especially if I need additional tax breaks now, where I can deduct any contributions. When it comes to distributing wealth from a 401k, that's where I want to strategically plan things out. Make sure I've got other assets, make sure all of my eggs are not in one basket. Cash value life insurance. So if you've watched any of our content, you've seen me touch on the bullet points here, just to keep things relatively consistent when it comes to the contributions. They are made with after-tax dollars. That means I cannot deduct those contributions from my income. If I make $100,000 and I pay $10,000 into a policy, my taxable income is still $100,000 for the year. I don't get a tax break when I pay funds into a cash value life insurance policy. The growth is still technically tax deferred. So as it grows, I do not have to pay taxes on the gains. The returns, I wouldn't consider it an investment. It'd be more of a fixed savings asset. And we have videos that highlight historical and present returns, all that good stuff. Now, on the access. And this ties in firstly to IBC, which is the whole idea of using the life insurance policy as a financing tool. Right, so this is a safe area. I can position money. It's a fixed asset. Let's say the returns fall anywhere between 3 to 6%. If that's the case, there's a safe place I can position money. Also tax-free, we'll touch on that very briefly here as well, but using the money. So if I have an account, let's just say it's earning 5% to keep it simple, whether I let that money sit and grow and earn 5%, or if I pull it out, invest in real estate, invest in my business, buy a car, whatever it might be, I continue to receive that same 5% on any money in cash and any money that's borrowed. The funds stay at work for me, so there's no lost opportunity cost. No LOC, lost opportunity cost, when it comes to accessing the money. And if I do everything right when I set the policy up, I design things properly, I can use it tax-free. And that is why we state that the growth is tax deferred, because to use it tax-free, that if needs to be satisfied. If I trigger a MEC, if I just cash the policy out or cash the funds out without taking a loan and I pull out more in a withdrawal than what I've paid in. There's ways I can run into taxable events, and we just want to make sure that we're aware of what those potential fallbacks are before I take out a policy or before I open up a 401k, whatever it is. And if I'm going to compare the income, meaning when I want to take distributions from it down the road, a lot of companies will do this, but if I'm an individual, again, this is if I do everything right, I can take income out tax-free. Whereas over here with the 401, I'm going to pay 100% income tax on the distribution. So really, the trade-offs are here, I can deduct my money up front. It helps me immediately, offsets my income, I get a tax break. Here I don't get the upfront tax break, but I have access to the money. I can use it along the way, and then on the back end, I can use it tax-free. So is one better than the other? Not necessarily. It depends on what I'm trying to accomplish. But be familiar with both and any other assets. This way I can use everything in conjunction with each other instead of just taking the approach, hey, let's put all my money in this area because it's the way to go. Hope this helps.